Well, if you've been watching my series on dirty fighting techniques, you may have seen some of them and thought, yeah, I can see why that's dirty. Now, this next one, you're going to think, what? Why is that a dirty fighting technique? This next one, the DFT, dirty fighting technique, is called asking why. And you think, why is asking why dirty fighting? Well, let me tell you. If you say, why were you late? Why didn't you take out the trash? Why didn't you let the dog out? Why did you do fill in the blank? It's a dirty fighting technique because when you ask it, it implies that the person did something wrong or that it's all their fault. It's a little bit more subversive than the other dirty fighting techniques because in one sense, if your spouse was supposed to be home at 3 o'clock and now it's 4 o'clock, you hadn't gotten a phone call or a text from them and you're thinking, well, I deserve to know why they were late, right? But it's when it comes out as a question such as, why were you late? Think about it. If your spouse has just come home, they wanted to be home an hour sooner. They were stuck in the tunnel. The cell phone died, didn't have the charger that they needed, whatever it was. They're already frustrated enough. Why didn't you do such and such? Maybe they just forgot. Maybe they were tired. But when we ask why, there's this implication that they are the problem, that they are at fault. And again, anytime we use these dirty fighting techniques, I'll say this on every video because you probably already know what I'm going to say now if you've watched the other videos. Dirty fighting techniques put the other person on the defensive. And that's never going to resolve a conflict because I'm spending time. Picture a war, picture arrows coming and a shield. If I'm spending all my time deflecting, I don't have any real time or energy to think through and help you resolve this issue. So let's kind of go backwards on that one. So you're thinking your spouse was late, they didn't call, they didn't text, you're irritated because you had things to do. Next time, maybe change your words just a little, like, hey, what happened? I expected you at 3, it's 4, and stick a compliment in there as well. It's like, you're usually pretty good about calling. Now, if they're not, don't lie. But usually, I didn't think you would do that because you usually called or whatever. I was just concerned. See, if you take something that's an issue to you and you turn it around and make it a positive, your spouse then will not feel attacked. And rather, they might be more receptive to going, you don't even want to know. I am so upset. I had a freaking awful day. I get out of the car. I get into my car. I leave work. I can't find my cell phone charger. I had the one at work died. The kids must have taken it out again. I get irritated when my grandkids do that all the time. Then I get into the car, getting through the tunnel, and it's jammed up. There's a half-hour back out because some moron decided to blah, 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 whatever, right? Your spouse is able to then kind of offload how he or she feels, explain the cause, and then maybe help, minimize some of your frustration. Babe, I am so sorry. And maybe they'll even get a chance to stick in a compliment like, I knew you were making meatloaf and I love your meatloaf and I was just starving and that made me more irritable. So asking why. Again, it can be tricky because you do have a right to know, but how you phrase it is huge. So again, the problem's not always your spouse. Sometimes the problem is yours. We got to take responsibility for our own actions before we can attack the actions of others. You got it? Right, you know the drill. Post below if you've ever used this dirty fighting technique and what you plan to do something differently. And I'd love to hear from you. And if you need extra help, you know where to find me. Dr. Christine Bacon on breakfastwithbacon.com. And until then, remember always to live your life sunny side up.